And we are live. How's it going, everyone? Super exciting joint episode here. I'm here with the core contributors at Grape Protocol, and there's a lot of things to get into, specifically the release of the NFT decks, what we actually covered a bit at Solana News, and there's a lot of exciting things going in there. But before we get too far in, I'm going to pass this to Chris because we are doing a joint episode here of Whales Tales. So amazing to have you guys on.
Man, I'm so excited. Internet friends, I'm so glad to be live once again from the other side of the planet, joined by Greg and Dean and the rest of the crew in Mountain DAO. Episode 114, over a year together. Any side of the planet will be live, man.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Amazing to have you guys on. And just to start, can we just outline for our users here, obviously people who have been with Whales Tales for 114 episodes, they got it all down. They know Grape Protocol. They understand the DAO, but just general overview. What is it that you guys are doing over at Grape, and how is it really just a lot more than just this underlying Grape Protocol that you guys have contributed to? What has it grown into over time?
Yeah, should I take this one or you want to?
Sure. Please go ahead.
So, we started with Grape Access, which is the bot everybody knows, the verification. And that really was the first use that we see for tokenized communities and for NFTs, right? It's to be able to create some exclusive space within a chat protocol. But that's just the first step of how you start building out a DAO, start building out value. And really at the core of what we want to do is experiment and discover all of the different tools a DAO requires, a tokenized community requires to operate. So, we started our exploration with this, little tool, which, we didn't expect would reach to a point of, 400,000 wallets that are using it right now.
800 plus communities.
About 842, last I checked, communities using it. So, we have the largest verification system, but that was never our aspiration. I mean, if you ask me in 5 years, are we going to be doing Discord verification? I think that we've failed. If as a community, that's what we're still doing, right?
Yeah.
Web3 is not meant to be, these gated little channels. So phase 2 for us was then focusing on how does a community discover its energy? So you coming into the community, right? Yeah. Hi, my name's Greg. I'm enthusiastic about interviewing people, videos, and that kind of stuff, news, right?
Yeah.
It's our job to then figure out a structure, a framework where we can identify that energy and then direct it into a part of the community. So that's been phase 2.
And allow it to capture value and also let you grow through the community, find the alliances you need, find the tools you need, and help you in the decision making and get you an audience from the get-go, from day one, because the Grape community is powerful.
Yeah, the big difference between what Grape is as a tokenized community versus what exists on Ethereum, like a Whale or an FWB, is that we are both builders and users.
Okay.
I feel very confident in saying that the Grape community are the power users of Solana. Right now, everybody that's in Grape interacts with Realms frequently, if not on a daily basis. They interact with streaming payments on a daily basis. And then we're interacting with all these different DeFi protocols as a result of our AMAs.
And this is way ahead from ahead of the curve from the average Solana user. Most people haven't really discovered yet realms and what a real DAO, what a DAO means, and what decentralized governance and the pains that come with going down that direction.
Yeah, I feel extremely confident in saying we interact with the most protocols on Solana by far, just because of the fact that if you're going to be a tokenized community, there's so many tools you need to use to be able to operate. And in this discovery, you're not so sure which ones you will need and which ones you won't need. So we're incented to constantly test. From a tokenomics standpoint, we're a tokenized community. 60% of all tokens go, to people who are just part of the community, and right, they're giving different parts of value. So, We have other interviewers, for example, Whale's Friend, but then we have Metaverse Explorer, we have Barn Dog, we have Vincent with the Shilzine. These are all people who either were contributing some sort of content creation in Solana, and we recognized them and brought them into the community, or they were homegrown, right? And now they each receive an emission every month to increase their voting power, their voice in this community that, we've got a plan for how it rolls out over the next 5 years. And, we're hopeful that this is something that's going to be lasting, 500 years.
Yeah. And this is amazing to hear, just the foundations and all the subsects that you guys are looking to integrate with and really provide tooling and create this community. That was something that stood out. I've understood what Grape is. I've seen you guys from the outside, but last night I was very much pushed to, okay, let me dive in and really get into things. There's so many different ways to go, but obviously yesterday was pretty massive. You guys released your NFT decks. Can we just get the TLDR on that? Maybe I can poke a little bit further if I have any questions that pop up. But what is exciting about this? It really is something that is innovative on Solana. So I think for a lot of people, this will be a further wake-up call. It's not just Grape doing Discord verification. It's like, this is, okay, we built this tool. This is another thing that we've built, but we have the ability to keep doing this. It's not just these one-off products that Grape puts this out once and it's done. This is now, okay, you guys got the Discord. This saw extreme success, but like you said, this isn't what Grape should and will be known for in the next 5 years. Now you have the NFT decks. I'm going to stop rambling and let you guys just jump in.
We're fortunate to have the community to give us direction and tell us what are the tools that the community itself needs to unlock its value. And we couldn't predict what tools are going to be required. We had a vastly different roadmap when we started, because we had an idea of what a DAO is and what a community needs. That was really far from the truth. And I think this is what puts us ahead from other just building protocols that are just building DAO tools. We have the community to direct us. And the NFT marketplace, the decentralized NFT marketplace, which is the first of its kind on Solana, will unlock value for DAOs and organized communities and other maybe smaller groups or subgroups or SubDAOs that we're going to talk about later. This is not, at the moment at least, on its first iteration, the competitor of a centralized NFT marketplace. Some of the features of the Grape decks, which I want to encourage everybody to actually go and play and find bugs and join the Discord, the Grape Discord, and to talk about all those potential bugs, because this is the first iteration. We're on building mode, so we encourage everybody. So some of the features which are very important in our opinion. Let's start from that. You don't lose custody of your NFT when you list it for sale, or you don't need to list it for sale at all if you want to just receive bids and offers. So it lives in your wallet, it stays in your wallet, which as a result means you're not losing any privileges from the various Discords that you've gained access from your NFTs or your coins. And as a result, at the next step, you're not losing voting power if that NFT or that token is used as a governance in the Solana governance program realms.today. So this is a huge feature. And what it might not be understood on the first glance is that this is the first iteration that Grape is using. This is a marketplace that any community will be able to use, and they will be able to have their own rules, to have their own fees, to have their own perks and privileges. At the moment, as an example, we set the Grape marketplace, grape.art, to function, to be able for the user to bid on NFTs only by holding 1,000 Grape. Another community might change those rules and add hold my NFT or hold those combinations of coins. So this is a first. Another really cool feature is the social aspect that we are promoting, and it is something that's brought by CyberConnect, and it is all on chain. All interactions are on chain. You can follow your favorite collections. You can follow your favorite projects. and you can see the social web that is created from your interactions. Because if you receive a follow by someone, you'll see where that follow came from. So you're kind of crossing the borders of communities and forming connections and discovering collections and NFT players that you might never have met before. And now you can follow strategies and wallets, and you can set your own profile picture, and you can. There is a social aspect that is constantly being enriched. Am I forgetting any really powerful features? There's so many that I'm sure I'm forgetting.
No, before we were talking about how there's innovation here. This is a crypto innovation. It's beyond just the first in Solana. It's the first out there, in that there is composability in the marketplace now that is controlled by a community. One of the features Chris mentioned was, if you want to make an offer, you can now set that module to require some sort of holding component. So, we've had gating on the Discord. Then now there's multiple examples of gating on the website, right? Where, hey, if you want to exit, see Solana Floors Pro package, you need to hold a Sheet Guardian. Or if you want to, look at NFTIs, you have to have the NFTIs pass, right? That we've all lived. But now there's components within the website where you can see the website, but that little widget there, you need to have some sort of holding mechanism, and that is composable, and any community can choose those rules, right? So that's one example. It doesn't exist. A second is on the feature on listings. Mm-hmm. So if you want your listing to be featured higher, more prominently, the more grape you hold, the more prominently that feature.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever I have a lot of grape, and I'm active. I've held every single grape I've ever been awarded. If I put a listing up there, it stays up there for a while, and it stays at the top, right? So I have to be disciplined in the next few days to not overly try to make sales or whatnot. Then thinking about marketplaces, until Web3, there's never been an ability for a marketplace to be curated by its community, right? At the end of the day, we collectively make Amazon a big deal, right? We make it a big company because we all shop there. Yeah. Well, what happens if we control a shop together, right? What are the rules we put in place? And that's something we're going to be discovering with this NFT DEX. It's going to be the first iteration of where a community that's shopping somewhere gets to choose the rules of that shopping, right? And then based on those rules, it's like, okay, should we have high fees and then really focus on inviting people in, and then have different kinds of competitions that we use with those fees to incent more people to come in? That's one strategy. That's one use case, right? But there could be another where it's like, we only want it to be us. Maybe what we do is we impose 0 fees on us and impose, a 20% fee on anybody else that's not holding our token. It ultimately is, a marketplace just for us. There's a lot of permutations, a lot of different ways to do it.
To the next level, as we said, every community can set their own rules, their own fees, and let's talk about a scenario that community sets their fees and connect that wallet with a governance treasury on Realms, and then suddenly you can have a community that is making decisions on chain about their marketplace. And then to take it on the next level, you can imagine of a mint happening connected to a treasury through the platform. It's a bit futuristic, but we can explore ways to make NFT mints unruggable, just because there's not going to be any centralized party controlling those funds.
Yeah.
So it's these are just the building blocks. We invite people to start working, playing, and building, and we can take this to the next level.
Yeah, on that sense of being composable, allowing other people to integrate with this, how exactly, if a project is interested, what is the process behind this? I think this is where the GrapeDAO starts to enter, which we haven't even gotten too far into that. So we're still on the NFT DEX. I'm curious, if someone was interested in composing, what is the process behind that? I know the NFT DEX is still very early on, but let's say someone is ready to become an early adopter. What does the process look like that? And I think we were talking about this a little bit. I think people want to, at least grape holders want some sort of value to come out of this tool that Grape Protocol has created. So what is the entire process of if someone actually says, hey, I want to compose and integrate with this Grape NFT DEX?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, we launched this yesterday. We're still figuring out what, all the different components that do, right? Like today, I realized how valuable it is to have this follower, social interaction component on the marketplace, because now, if I want to reward my followers, I can do it much easier on this system than I can on Twitter, right? Like, I have whatever followers on Twitter. The process of getting their wallets and then trying to do some sort of airdrop or rewarding, it would be impossible. Whereas here, I already have those wallets. I know exactly what they're holding. I mean, there's some interesting dynamics that we're just discovering. So the answer is we don't have a path today. And our aspiration is for this to be completely open source. That being said, it's a lot of work to make things open source. So we're hoping that, we can make this a big enough deal where it makes sense for us as an ecosystem to make this open source. We want it to be open source. If anybody at Solana is listening and you guys like this DEX, reach out to us so we can work, together on making that a reality. As far as how the Grape token holders will benefit, well, as we discussed before around fees, today we don't have any fees on the marketplace. Most likely there will be some on our iteration. On other iterations, I think it would be fair, but we'll figure that out, where the Grape community is receiving some sort of
A small percentage.
a fee. Now, there's also those bells and whistles of composability of feature benefits for holding, right? So today, all those benefits only go to the Grape holders. We're continuously looking at different ways you can carve up that holding to give different benefits, and we can even touch on SubDAO tokens, bonded curve tokens through Strata later. But I think that's how it brings value today.
And it's something that came out from really loving the space. It wasn't, this is what is going to make us the most money, or is going to make the most money to the Grape holders. This is something that the community, the development team, everybody identified that the space needed. So we built it, and we're going to explore with the rest of the NFT enthusiasts and the rest of the communities how this is going to bring value to any token holder and any community that adopts it.
Most community activity right now is NFT focused, right?
Yeah.
It's connected to NFTs. So it makes sense to look at the marketplace for NFTs specifically, but the marketplace concept, isn't restricted to just NFTs. Curation, what is in that marketplace? Imagine like in the future when we as a society agree that we don't want to support any company that is not carbon neutral, then we will not curate them into our marketplace, right? Like it's these kind of things that are now enabled where, we can collectively have our own version of an Amazon that mirrors our values. How does that happen? It happens from community curated marketplaces. So this is the first example of it. And this is also the first example of a composable, with composable feature benefits. This doesn't exist on Ethereum. It can't easily, we were discussing this with Levi, even if it did, no one would be able to test it, let alone use it, just because there are so many,
non-financial transactions that need to happen.
So many transactions.
Okay, yeah. And this takes me to really the next thing, and this is super core to how Grape Protocol moves forward and continues to innovate. It's obviously not Dean and Chris up here making decisions on how this happens, which is part of the reason why you guys don't have an answer for the NFT DEX and how to integrate in the future. It's set at 0% fees. And now this is where we've definitely hinted at it. The community touched on it, but this is really where the GrapeDAO comes in. And this is the whole community aspect of things. So just in general, what is the GrapeDAO? I mean, I logged into your guys' DAO proposal page and there's like 8 proposals on there. And it just looks like this is obviously the hub of Grape Protocol, how things are moving forward. And not to say that you guys don't have contribution. You guys are core contributors, which does give you a decent say in what goes on. but it's open to any community members who want to come in, want to be a part of Grape. So it would just be great to get a little bit of context. And then there's so many things going on with this GrapeDAO. Like I clicked into a couple things, seeing some SubDAOs, seeing
Partner server awards.
exactly. So all sorts of things. We can start with some context and then just dive into those couple things and then other things that you guys think are interesting.
Yeah. So on the DAO side, right now, for somebody to be considered a Grape member, they have to be holding Grape, and they need to be inside Discord. For whatever reason, right now we've adopted Discord as our home. That's where almost every DAO today lives. So after somebody has verified that they're a Grape holder and they're in Discord, there's right now 2,200 people that have done that. They're holding different amounts of Grape, right? That's their membership amount.
Yeah.
To be part of the DAO, we as a DAO collectively agreed that they should be at the highest tier, which is currently around 25,000 Grape. That's called Gorilla, Class A, right? So after you're a Gorilla, there's a channel that appears, which is the DAO application. So you have to fill that out, right? You have to consciously take a step to say, hey, I want to be part of the voting processes. Once that happens, every Sunday at 1 p.m. UTC, we have a call, right? And this involves anybody who's on the DAO. And currently there are 61 members on the DAO. Now, one of the first activity we do during the DAO meeting is we look at the sign-up sheets and we say, okay, who's submitted to be a DAO member? And then we look at their activity. What have they been doing inside the community? Have they introduced themselves? There's a special section for people to introduce themselves specifically as DAO prospects.
Okay, yeah.
And people put in like, a good like essay, like it's a good like, 5 paragraphs kind of thing. And then we discuss right there on the call if they should come in or not. And it's communal. Like if somebody has any reason, mention it right now why this person shouldn't come in. We're very consistent about doing that. We also remove people if somebody hasn't been active in 2 weeks on Discourse, where we do our proposals, they're removed. You have to have a very high level of activity if you're going to be at that level of decision making.
Yeah.
Those 60 people are responsible for the proposals. They get to dictate what do we vote on, right? So those proposals are discussed at length in Discourse, which is where you saw in the DAO.grapenetwork.org is a Discourse implementation. And the only people who can comment and make proposals are these 61 DAO members, right? So you can go in as a non-DAO member, read everything, but if you want to be able to be part of that discussion, you have to be a DAO member. After it completes its discussion portion in Discourse, it's then elevated to an on-chain vote, which anybody holding Grape can vote on.
Okay.
Now,
there are some rules on this one. The vote needs to stay open for a couple of days. Some votes need a number of votes need to be gathered in order for the proposal to pass. So there's a quorum that you need to meet, and all these little details are known to the members that are taking the decisions. But everything has first been discussed on Discourse.
Yeah, that's a super interesting process, and it makes sense how you have the highest active community members, contributors, really making sure that what you guys are putting on chain makes sense and that people are agreeing it's innovative and good for the success and overall community of Grape, but then it does open up to Grape holders. I think that's a really unique way and really moving DAOs forward here. You guys are definitely, as we said, innovating on Solana, looking to create this idea of DAOs. Just for like a little sidebar here, it's kind of an easy, obvious question, but I always like hearing everyone's answers. What made it to come on Solana? When was it like this aha moment? Were you guys in Solana and then decided Grape would be awesome? Or was Grape always this idea of building it and it was like, okay, Solana is a good match?
That's a great question. I mean, from my perspective, I had lived a lot of the tokenized community world on Ethereum. And then after having been in Solana, there was that light bulb moment of, wow, all of this could come over there and be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So much more efficient.
You need to be able to iterate and experiment fast. If there's one thing I'm positive, it's that we're always going to be in the front of innovation, right? Like, we're gonna, like this DEX we made. I'm positive there's gonna be more DEXs. I'm 100% sure we're not going to be the only. We're always going to be the first when it comes to these things. We're not going to always be the only, right? Yeah, that's
like we were first in verification.
Yeah,
we're not anymore the only.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to take this and just ask the fun, hard question. Has it been difficult with the idea of having a DAO and having so many moving parts and community members? Has it gotten to the point where it is a little bit difficult to make some decisions? Do you see this inhibiting the DAO at any point? I know this is a big topic of discussion that people have. As you get more people, there are benefits to having some sort of leader in that aspect. What are your guys' views on the DAO as it grows? Do you think you'll be able to keep this innovation and stay on the front as more and more people come and contribute?
Absolutely. I think we're very good at delegating authority as a group. I'm going to give up one example where we had to have a vote to allocate some grape to Chris so that he could then reward people at Mountain DAO with grape. Even though, he's a core contributor, he does not have the authority to just say, hey, I'm going to take, 200,000 grape and give it. At the same time, this was an idea that came to him, I don't know, 3 days before we got on an airplane, and our standard votes are 6 days. So, that's an example where, okay, well, shucks, I guess we can't move forward with this idea. That's not what happened. We got on the call with the entire DAO and said, guys, we need to have an expedited process for this one. How about we do a 1-day vote on discourse? Don't put it on chain. And, we'll see sentiment. And, when you see 100% everybody voting for the same thing, it's like, you didn't really need to have 6 days, right? Everybody's in agreement that this is a good deployment.
And what was I was very impressed that the moment we actually put the proposal, we had over 50% of the DAO vote within a couple of hours.
Yeah. So the DAO board, these 61 people, highly active. Why? Because if you're inactive for 2 weeks, you're gone, right? So and that's not like, hey, things happen in life. Some people have told us, hey, I'll be back. That's great. You're not going to be a DAO. And it's important. The activity is important when you come into things of like council tokens and quorum. Those are these heady problems that come connected to inactivity. But that's an example of where if we didn't have good delegation and good communication and transparency, nothing. We would have just abandoned it. With the sanctuary, for example, we can go into that soon. I went from proposal, and now I'm hoping. I asked the DAO board, can you guys please make this a vote proposal? I know what those structures I would want to put in, but hey, let's see what the DAO board's going to put in. Like, I really hope it's a 24-hour. I hope it's on discourse, and then I hope I can just go after that, put it on Realms, trigger an instruction to give it to those 7 members on the sanctuary.
Yeah, an important detail is that we are part of the DAO, but we are not part of the DAO board, which means we can.
There's a vote every 3 months. This is going to be our first month voting for a new DAO board.
Okay.
Which means
we don't have any say on the procedures. So the procedures are collectively decided by the community, by the DAO, but they are put forward by the DAO board, which we are not part on purpose. We don't want to be in the forefront. We don't want to be as core contributors changing direction based on our personalities, or because we have some status of maybe a little bit more influential.
It makes me sad, to be honest, that I can't I can't be part of Grape as a real DAO member. I feel that we are cheated out of an opportunity to be part of the real thing, right? Where it's like, okay, maybe I can find this in a different DAO, right? But I can't. So as much as possible, we have to do these hard decisions where it's like, I guess I can't campaign. I want to campaign. I want to be on the DAO board.
Because there are, as we've seen it grow from zero, we have some understanding of, hey, this needs to be done. Mm-hmm. But after you're not in charge, then you start seeing other people's opinions, and maybe they have a completely different vision, and maybe that's the majority. And So it is a little bit sad. It hurts sometimes, but on the other hand, it's seeing your child grow up and being autonomous in a way. So I'm happy that sometimes the DAO just has a completely different opinion, and not almost every time it's the DAO that will make the decision, not us.
Yeah, and it's great because it does put that balance of power. Like you're saying, there is some sort of conflict of interest, and it's not like you guys have to sit and watch from the sidelines 100%. You still have some sort of voice, but the whole idea of the DAO is limiting that and making sure that the community also has their voice. So I think it's interesting. It's also important. I think we were on here with Nam last week talking about SMB things, and he was like, a good compromise, both parties are upset. So it's like, it's probably a good thing that you guys feel cheated of some sort. And on this idea, we talked about the sanctuary. Can we just go more into this? I mean, I really started diving into Grape a lot more last night, and I start opening up these proposals. And this was the first thing I asked when you guys came in. It's like, how is the DAO keep up with these things? And it all feeds back to the idea of being super active. If you're not there for 2 weeks, you're out. But I'm just curious, what are some of the big proposals that you guys personally are excited about, or potentially that also the DAO has just been talking about a lot, some of the bigger ones? Because I think there's, I don't know, 6 to 8 to 10 on there right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of proposals active right now. Like every month, the most important proposal is the emissions. So our tokenomics, which we said 60% goes to community, which I challenge anybody to show me another project of our size that gives that much. It's a community project, right? 5 million is minted every month. 1.5 of it goes to people who have different skills, right? We said there are 93 people that have different skill roles in our. We have to decide as a DAO how to split that up. So that is the most important vote every month. Is like, how are we communicating our priorities, right? So this last month, we had a massive increase on allocation towards the developers. Why? I mean, these guys have been beasts this month, right? We
Grape.art.
Yeah, Grape.art came out, right? Yeah. So there's going to be this continuous, shift of priorities, and those priorities are going to be mirrored by where we continue to allocate governance power, right? That's how you have to think about that Grape allocation. We're giving people more and more of a voice. So I think the emissions one is massively important
and ongoing.
And how often is that? Because these things, tokenomics in general, like having them dynamic is fairly important. Like, as you're saying, things change. It's like, okay, developing is really important, but maybe there's a certain time where it's like community is a little bit important. Like early on, it sounds like that was very important. You need users, and now it's like, okay, these tools are sweet. Everyone's getting excited about them. Roundabout question for just like you said, it's ongoing. How often is that?
So right now we're doing about once a month. Now it's funny. The first two emissions, the first emission plan I created, the second one he created. On the third one, we told them we're not going to do it. So it didn't get done for over a month.
So no emission happened.
So no emission happened
until
somebody from the community made an emission plan. It was that simple. It was like, guys, because no one's gonna get Grape until somebody does it, and I promise you, I will not put that plan together.
Yes, because it's easy for me to just make a proposal and then have everybody agree with me. But I want someone else to come up with a proposal and challenge mine. And that's where you're gonna find the gold. That's where you're gonna improve on your processes. This is how you're gonna involve other people. And as I said, it's an ongoing process, which means SubDAOs need to vote. SubDAOs need to police the ranks because some people are getting paid more than others, and this just puts forward all those growing problems that communities face.
And we're very close to making this all decentralized. Like right now, I showed this to Nam yesterday. So what happens is we vote as a community how this emission is going to be, right? We know exactly who's going to get how much Grape. Then we put the vote on chain on Realms, and there's an instruction to send that Grape to our streaming partner. Now, there's only two that I know of: MeanFi and StreamFlow.
Yep.
MeanFi today is a lot further along So we're using MeanFi. That doesn't mean we wouldn't use StreamFlow. We'll use anything that's ready and integrated, right? We're users. We're the number one power users. So when it gets sent after the vote passes, the Grape automatically goes into the MeanFi account.
Mm-hmm.
Now there, it's a little centralized because they haven't created a system where we can give them some sort of like CSV or something connected to a vote, right?
Okay,
It would be awesome if in those voting instructions, we also specifically said the grape's going to be cut up like this. And then it goes into a stream. And that stream gives that grape out at a maximum of 1,000 a day. And, some people have grape, coming to them for, who knows how many months moving in the future.
And this is a problem.
Very close to being completely decentralized.
And this is a problem you cannot identify prior of arriving there. It's impossible. You need to
If you ever told me streaming payments is going to be
how
essential
would
to DAOs, I wouldn't understand that because now we've figured out that, and this hasn't gone to a DAO vote, but we talk about this philosophically. If somebody leaves but has these streams still going, what should we do? And some people have said, okay, you can cut off the stream.
Yeah.
Right. It's an interesting concept, and there's so many permutations, so many different tests to do. But yeah, if you're not users, how are you going to be built? You don't know what
you need to
build.
get your hands there.
Yeah.
So there are examples in Solana. I'm not going to name names, but you could see some amazing builders that are completely not users. So it's like, look at this amazing thing I built. Who's using it?
Yeah.
Oh, they don't understand it. No, you don't understand what people want, right? So I think that we've done an amazing job of being the best users in Solana for the, definitely for the non-financial, although the research group would probably say that they're the best at doing DeFi tools as well.
That's awesome. And so while we're here, I don't know if I completely understand the sanctuary yet. So maybe a little bit wrap that up, and then just the SubDAOs is a whole nother rabbit hole that I think we can scratch the surface on, but that just runs insanely deep and just shows the power of Grape Community. But Sanctuary, how can we wrap that up high level? What's the big thing behind that?
Yeah, so the Sanctuary is a fantastic project around derugging other projects. It started with the exiled apes, and then it went to soul bears, and now there's a lot of communities where after they get rugged or for whatever reason the developers stop, there are people who are passionate in the community that don't want to see this stop, so they use the entangler to continue this community. This has been led by Levi Korg, Angered Bees. I don't know them in real life, right? Kimosabi, Joanna, Exiled Apes. Like these are the 5 names that I know very well. So we see that we're aligned in what we're trying to accomplish around supporting community building. That they're very active in realms. That's actually what, like, I am addicted to realms. I know everybody who's like, I'm proud that we are the biggest user and the biggest DAO in realms. So we identified that, hey, these guys are pretty big. They're pretty active. What we did there was we reached out. We said we would love to bring you into our DAO. So we're giving them Grape to come in and be with us, and they're going to allocate 5 gorilla spots to those 5 members I mentioned, and then they're going to choose 2 other people. And the idea is for us to be able to support those operations, right? They're all doing this now, kind of pro bono.
Mm-hmm.
We already have a tokenomic structure. We already have 93 people who do other jobs. So combining, we'll be able to continue what they're doing, but just give them much more support.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing that we identified is not that we have the same mission of bringing a better user experience, a better community experience, especially to those users that might have one mint in their life. They decided to mint one NFT. They were unlucky and they got drugged, and then they have a terrible experience from the space. So we were aligned in the mission, but more importantly, we were aligned in the ethos of let's make this a place that is welcoming and give a space that will empower those individuals that put the work, that are passionate, that are excited. And the Grape community has been a funnel for all those projects that might become weaker, either due to market conditions, either due to some botched mint, some issue with the contracts, or even because some core team members decided to abandon them. So the Grape community offers a great place for these enthusiastic people to start over, and the Sanctuary, they're going above and beyond to rescue these communities and identify value and bring it forward. They've identified so many leaders inside those communities that just started as members or as users or as collectors, and they managed to unlock their leadership value, bring them forward, and lead those projects that the market thought they were dead. And I think there is a place in the Grape DAO boards for those individuals that know how to empower and know how to shape a community. And the different thing that we're doing with Sanctuary is that we're inviting the whole group to the DAO. We have this partner servers awards that we usually give to. We change the criteria every month, every epoch, so it cannot be gamed. And this month, this epoch, we identified the Sanctuary, that we need these people to be closer to us, closer to the Solana space, and give them any tools they need to continue what they're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the best part is we got through two big proposals, right? We were talking about the emissions, the ongoing ones, and that somewhat bleeds into being able to do things like the partner service program, tying into the Sanctuary. I'm curious now, I saw something, SubDAOs, I think we should scratch the surface of this a little bit. You also, in your tweet, you put out social tokens, and I've heard about this not too adept, so I'd be great for you to lay that on us as well, Chris, but even just touching SubDAOs, because this seems super interesting, and we'll just show how deep, and this is a fun one, how deep like the grapevine will actually go and what you guys can make.
Yeah,
sure. So what we've understood by growing this community and actually looking at other communities, successful communities, we've seen that the building blocks, the teams that comprise the core of each community are a little bit the same. Everybody has moderators, everybody has videographers, community creators, researchers, DeFi experts. Everybody's bringing their own value. And what we did differently is organize those individuals, those groups in SubDAOs. And as we said, we're a community project, which means a large chunk of the allocation is going to go to those groups. The idea is to form those groups and allow them to self-police and shape their own culture, make their own rules and find their own ways of identifying talent. And this helps in the overall decision making because smaller groups can arrive at consensus much easier. At the same time, these groups share the same kind of skills, the same kind of expertise, and there is some mutual respect. There is an easier way for these individuals to connect and, of course, find consensus. So these are the SubDAOs that will actually decide what's important and what needs to be passed to the main DAO, because the main DAO cannot possibly know, the DAO board, what happens in the moderators SubDAO. They cannot know what happens in the community creator SubDAO. They're only human. They can't follow everything.
A good example for me is like the designers. When we first had like a lot of designs coming in, submissions, I want to be a designer. Look at this design. I'd be like, that guy, he needs to be a designer. And then one of the designers would be like, why do you like that? There's no vectoring. There's no Photoshop.
There's no Figma.
There's no this. And I'm like, bro, it just looks good to me.
Yeah.
Whereas like the design skills, he's the one who can identify, how experienced that designer is.
And another good example is that we find ourselves, as we're core contributors, we found ourselves surprised with the events, decisions, and initiatives that happen within the community, that those SubDAOs go so deep into finding value and discovering ways to empower the community that sometimes we wake up and there is a proposal that we've never heard, never thought about, and is amazing.
One of the coolest things at Mountain DAO has been meeting somebody who said, oh, I know my friend loves Grape. He does your meditation session. We've never seen the meditation session. It happens
In the time
every
zone.
week when we're asleep.
Yeah.
Because it's at a time zone that doesn't work for us. But this has been going on like clockwork for the last 3 months. Discord Guru is the guy that runs it. Never seen it. And it's like, yeah, I was part of the meditation thing.
Yeah.
Now you can imagine if we have meditation groups and fitness classes and
Now those things don't go to a DAO vote, right?
TA.
There's no reason for that to go
Yeah.
to a DAO vote. You want to do a meditation thing, go for it, and then people will be able to enjoy it. If enough people are enjoying it, they'll vote in the mission for it, right?
Yeah. And I think there's two things, right? This idea of a SubDAO really just attacks that same question that I had earlier. How do you guys get things done as the DAO grows bigger and bigger? And it really encompasses your example, Dean, was a perfect example of idea meritocracy. This idea of letting the people who are the most experienced, the most believable in the room. And this is something that Ray Dalio popularized, how he runs his business. But I think something like a DAO specifically is where you can see this actually work in the best idea, where it's like, cool, we can all look at art and we're like, that looks sick. But if you have the graphic designer over here, he's obviously the most believable person in the room. So being able to delegate and give them that power is amazing. And that's what I was getting at with that question. And Grape attacks that very well. So I think it's amazing to see that and just see all the different things you guys can do and how there is actually an efficient way to get it done. I think a lot of people think DAO and they're like, how could you ever decentralize it entirely? How could you ever get anything done? But this is a prime example of how you can do it and how it's set up. So I think that's really unique seeing that. And it makes a ton of sense. Moving forward, I think we've covered a lot and just wrapped up a lot of things. So I'm at the bottom of my questions. I'm curious to just hear more about social tokens.
Yeah, I'm gonna add the social tokens to the mix because it comes hand to hand with SubDAOs, and maybe not SubDAOs, but maybe some groups within the community that don't have a way to bring measurable value. Maybe that's not revenue. Maybe it's just the power of community. Maybe it's just a social club. Maybe it's paid services. Maybe it's something that I can't think of, but we're experimenting at the moment with Grape-backed tokens. And big shout out to Strata Protocol, to Umbo, to Noah, and all the engineers on that side that have helped us in the philosophical questions, but also in the execution. So what we're talking about, social tokens, these are tokens that follow a bonding curve, that don't need any liquidity markets, any liquidity pools. They don't need anything because they are directly connected. Their supply, their price is directly connected with the supply. And every time someone buys that token, another token, in our case, Grape token, goes to a treasury to back that token. So it makes this sub token from the get-go to have value and liquidity, and allows for certain buy tax or sell tax, so you can have some revenue streams connected to those sub tokens, social tokens, that end up in a treasury that can be governed by the token we just described, and can be governed through realms, and will allow any group to be a sub-DAO of its own without the community's consent. So if someone wants to go and create a sub-DAO within Grape that, I don't know, they can create a decentralized paid group. It might sound negative, but when we add the decentralized portion in front, where everybody controls the treasury and the gating and the ticketing and the membership, then it becomes a fully meritocratic group of individuals that bring value. There's no way for Grape or the GrapeDAO to measure that value, but if they implement their own sub-token and they have their own treasury and the group grows and together the treasury grows, then they can even leave Grape and create their own organization. But it all starts from being able to support the liquidity, support the market without any external requirement for protocols, platforms, and pools.
Yeah, and that's super interesting because it also adds value to Grape as a whole. You guys are adding value to the community, and then it's also backed by Grape. They're adding more utility for the token. So I think that's super interesting in general. I mean, this seems like it's a little bit further down, but you guys are definitely working on it. You're working with other people. So super curious to see how that plays out.
It's still all an experiment, and I wanna stress out that we've created already with the community 4 social tokens
Okay.
that follow 4 different bonding curves. We have a linear curve, we have a square root curve, we have a x to the power of something, which makes it a parabolic curve. So we are experimenting, and we are constantly adding ingredients to the soup, and it's gonna take us years to perfect this, but the only way is to iterate and try again and add new tools and discover new vulnerabilities. So this is an ongoing process, even for the social tokens.
Yeah, the discovery of strata and bonded tokens was, I think there's been like 2 or 3 times in this journey of Grape where I've just been like, okay, I really am gonna have to spend a good, who knows how long trying to absorb this. The DEX is the most recent one. I still am trying to understand everything, that this enables. But the bonded curves was the one before that. And say I want to make a token today for whatever business reason or any ideology, some mission I have. If I make one as a regular SPL token, I'm kind of, I'm being supported by the Solana ecosystem, right? If I make it built on Grape, I'm being supported by the Grape ecosystem. Because it's a little bit more intimate, there's a better one-to-one kind of connection behind, okay, now the designers of Grape are incented to design for you. The videographers are incented. Whereas if I made a Solana token, it's not like, all of a sudden everybody's gonna be making designs for me, just because I'm on Solana. Like Solana Labs is gonna come over and say, hey, Dean, you made a new coin. How do we help you?
No liquidity, no nothing.
None of that exists, right? It's if you're making a token, on an L1, you probably don't have support off the bat, but backed by an existing proof of social work, proof of meritocracy community, you're gonna have a lot of support there. You have a lot of customers there, right? People who are incented. So like one of the tokens we've released is for videography, right? So internally, we're going to use the videographer token. That way, the videographers have their own treasury and their own, kind of voting structure. And these are experiments, right? You want to see what's going to happen. But now we're incented as a community that whenever somebody in our, network asks for a video, hey, do you know anybody that does some videos? I know exactly who can do it. Go and buy the videographer token. And it helps all Grape holders, right? So you're a Grape holder, you now have vested interest in selling into that curated marketplace, right? And it goes back to this idea of, curated marketplaces, how, apes stronger together, right? Because you can do all these things together in a structure where the incentives are matching. It's finding aligned incentives. That's the key to all of this.
Yeah. And we're still in the beginning. The vision down the road includes reputation tokens. It includes meritocratic, measurable tokens. Activity, ways to measure the activity, and everything should be on chain, and everything we should find a way to integrate everything to create a profile, not of a person, but of a wallet that can carry any achievements, any positives or negatives to the next community, and showcase the past, their expertise, what they've gone through, and maybe go across the Solana community, building that reputation, building that social profile without ever the need to be doxxed, without the need to actually send a CV, and without actually ever needing to show your face or something like that. But it's a vision that we still have a long way to go, and we need help from the community and the wider Solana ecosystem.
Yeah, this is amazing. I mean, the gears are turning. The big thing to me is like, all right, I'm going and introducing myself, and I'm going to see if I can be active and do this. I think this is a great spot to leave it off. The big thing, obviously, was talking about this NFT DEX and this next tool or product that you guys put out. And really, I think this sets the stage for, it's not Grape doing Discord verification. And I think the NFT Dex is just a second little wake up call and a jolt. It's like, hey guys, Grape is doing all of this. And I think we got a very good general overview of all the different subsects that Grape is looking to do, specifically how deep the DAO runs and the purpose and value it actually drives to Grape. So I think this is just an amazing spot to leave this off. I want to thank Dean and Chris for joining us all the way from Greece, which is amazing to see. And overall, that's really all I have. You guys are going to be hearing a lot more from Grape. We definitely have our ear on the ground now. We've been keeping up with Grape, but now I'm pretty excited. So other than that, guys, maybe you'll see me in the GrapeDAO. Maybe we'll see some of you guys there as well. So going to end it off there. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us. After the cameras are off, we're gonna get you into the Grape community. You're gonna verify and
I'm already verified. I just need it now.
No, we're gonna
this
get
is
you.
the allocation we voted on.
We're
So
gonna get you
some Grape now.
Get you some Grape. You're gonna get into
You're gonna
the
become a
appropriate
great ape.
Exactly.
There we
You're gonna
go.
get into the right channels, maybe to make the team larger, maybe to get some audience.
Mountain
maybe.
DAO.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
Definitely.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here.
Peace.
And see you from the usual streaming platforms on Tuesday, the coming Tuesday.
Nice. Peace,
Love
everyone.
you all.